Hello, I'm Bill LuMaye, and thank you for watching Community Matters. We hope you'll continue to watch as we discuss issues facing our community and provide you with the resources and information needed to find solutions. Parents of children with autism spectrum disorder are oftentimes frustrated by the support offered to their child. Fortunately, there's an organization out there providing an approach to development and skill building backed by neurodiversity experts. We're joined by Jeff Skibitsky, founder and president of ABS Kids. And Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate the opportunity to come on today, not only to talk about the clinical services, but also to highlight the strengths of the community, the autistic community, the parents, everybody that's been involved with being able to provide care to supports to empowerment.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think everybody knows somebody who's been touched by this. I'm kind of blown away by how big the problem has become, or we've recognized it, and we'll get into that. But for those who aren't aware, would you mind just giving us a little background? What is autism?
Yeah, so autism is a neurological disorder that has a genetic backing to it, so it's a predisposition to specific genes. And what it does is it affects the ability for a lot of children, a lot of adults to be able to communicate, socialize. They oftentimes have behavioral excess or behavioral deficits that cause some challenges with the way that they're integrating within the world.
Well, and I know a lot of the kids, they're brought into the public education system or the education system, and oftentimes for the folks that are home, someone with autism, put it this way, they're not all the same. They're all little individuals, so what one individual is dealing with is completely different than another, which makes it pretty difficult for the parents and the education system. So could you get a little more specific? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
What does it range from?
So over my 25 years of working within the field is that the definition of autistic disorder has changed, and it's broadened over time. And so right now what you're looking at is that there's 3 levels of autism. There's level 1, which requires support, oftentimes minimal support for somebody to be able to access the community and to be able to achieve their goals, all the way through level 3, which is it's substantial supports. So you could be meeting an individual that has the ability to communicate, the ability to engage, who are doing wonderful with their profession, and maybe just have some social components that are creating barriers to being able to establish some relationships. You could have an individual that has severe behaviors that are interfering with their ability to be able to communicate appropriately, to be able to even get their basic needs met. And then in the middle, it's everybody else,
Sure.
which makes treatment so individualized, and the ability for somebody to access different environments, it's different for every single child, every family.
I have to ask, and I'm not sure you know the answer, but it seems like there's more of it than when, even 20 years ago. It seems like is that because of there's a problem out there, or that we're finding out about it? I mean, which is it? Or maybe it's a little bit of both.
Well, so as we just spoke about, the diagnostic criterion has changed. So autism spectrum disorder used to be one piece, where then historically you had Asperger's disorder, you had pervasive developmental disorder, NOS. So it was all these other different diagnoses. Now they're all bunched into the same category within the diagnostic system. The other thing is that you have so many more underserved communities that are now accessing care. So the numbers are rising, is that you have areas that maybe socioeconomically didn't have access for a diagnosis. It didn't have the opportunity to be able to see a psychologist, to be able to know what's going on with their child. You had rural areas where there just aren't enough clinicians to be able to do that work. And then the last piece is that we've gotten better at recognizing all of these symptoms or all of these areas where behaviorally we're seeing that the traits are there. Whether it's us looking at girls differently, because historically we didn't do a very good job with diagnosing girls and women on the spectrum, all the way through looking at the nuances to know that, this isn't, I don't need to see everything. Not all of these interfering behaviors have to exist for somebody to need the support or carry a diagnosis of autistic disorder.
How do you diagnose it?
Well, it takes a village, and treatment in general takes a village. So it typically starts with a parental concern or a pediatric concern. Pediatricians are trained to do screeners on a regular basis, and they should be doing that to be able to look at, hey, am I seeing developmental delays? Am I seeing any areas of concern? From there, oftentimes what happens is a referral will occur to go to a psychologist. The psychologist can go deeper into it. They'll do some observations. They'll do some screeners. They'll do some standardized tests just to be able to narrow down, not just, is this the right diagnosis, but also, where are the gaps? Where are the strengths? Where are the areas that treatment then should follow to be able to help this person achieve everything that they want out of life, everything their family wants for them to be able to achieve?
It is a challenge, individual and families. And what are some of the things that people may have wrong about autism? I mean, they watch television shows. I see there's a doctor who's doing pretty well on TV. Yep. So people do kind of soak all that in. So what are some of the misconceptions we have?
Yeah, and so I think the misconception is that it's all within one box and that everybody is going through the same challenges or everybody's going through the same pains as a family. Is that autism is, and we hit on this, it's so broad. There's so many different characteristics that people could be demonstrating with that together form an autism diagnosis, but we all could have different little pieces that are the areas that are going to affect us. The other piece that I'd be looking at is that people will achieve goals. Everybody has the opportunity to be able to work hard or to be able to develop new skills. But those skills are going to be different for every single person that's entering into a treatment paradigm. You could have somebody that learns how to drive a car, how to be able to take on different responsibilities within their profession, get married, enjoy having a family and children. You have somebody else who's achieving goals by being able to reduce behavior so they can be a part of a team environment as a child, or to be able to go into school and not need so many supports just to be in a classroom. So goals and what you're looking to be able to achieve are so different for every single individual.
Well, and I know that you're going to hang with us for the entire show. Parents particularly are always searching for whatever help or answers they can find. And it seems sometimes that when it comes to autism, the support network doesn't seem to be as strong as maybe they feel it should be. So we're going to get into that when we come back, so stick around. Welcome back. We're back with Jeff Skibitsky. He is the founder and president of ABS Kids. And Jeff, this is a topic that I think everybody is impacted by when it comes to autism, and particularly where they can go for additional help and hopefully some success stories. So let's start off with ABS Kids. Tell us about it. What is that?
Yeah, so ABS Kids, we're a multidisciplinary care model. So we have psychologists working with behavior analysts on being able to provide the right level of support so that a child has the chance to be able to develop language, learn new skills, being able to socialize, being able to learn some of those cognitive skills that help them to be able to navigate the world around them. We do that in home environments, we do that in center-based services, and then we also will integrate into schools to help support that.
You know, and that's one of the big issues I've heard is that parents, once they get into the education system, and I'm not knocking the education system, it's just, it is what it is, and they do provide what they can provide, but parents oftentimes are left feeling like that's just not enough. Is this something that can be integrated into the schools? I mean, can a parent come to you with their child, and can what you do also follow that child into the school system? How does that work?
Absolutely is the answer to your
that's
question.
Good news.
But I can go into some of the details. So what you're looking at with any sort of service for somebody who identifies autistic is that there are so many different components that come into their care model. School is one of them, but you're also going to see in that whole child approach that you're going to see speech pathologists, occupational therapists, applied behavior analyst specialists, so board certified behavior analysts. You're going to see social skills. It's all got to come together in a way that is empowering the child to be able to go into any of these environments that they need to, whether that is school, whether that is being able to socialize on a team, and the treatment should be following them. So in a school environment, that's tough.
Yes.
For a teacher to manage that many different individualized plans on a regular basis to be able to help each child benefit from their strengths to learn new skills, that's an almost impossible task.
Yes.
But with the right supports, whether that is having a direct support staff come in to be able to help support them on the behavioral components, whether that's getting consultative supports, it creates an opportunity that the child could go from a home environment or a center-based environment and then integrate into the school environment, not necessarily seamlessly, but successfully throughout that process.
I think that's what most parents hope for, and of course down the road even more. Can you tell me how it works? I'm a parent, I have an autistic child, I'm coming to you. You have a team of individuals, so how do they, I mean, is the team working for that child, and which one do you, how does it work?
Yeah, and that's a good question. I think that that's where a lot of families are trying to wonder, okay, I have all these people involved in my life. How in the world do I get them so they're all speaking the same language, that they're all being able to communicate effectively to get a treatment plan in place? So the initial diagnosis is from a psychologist. That psychologist, based off their testing, should be informing the next line of treatment on where that child's strengths are, how they're processing the environment around them, where some of those barriers exist, what the family's goal, how the family operates. And then all that information would go to a team of behavior analysts if they're receiving applied behavior analysis service similar to what we provide in our centers in the home. And then that team will then do their own assessments to really understand what are the techniques that are going to really empower this child. How am I going to teach them individually? And then how am I going to take each one of these skills to build on each other to be able to give this child a chance to start developing some of those skills that were so hard to attain initially, but now we understand how that child processes, how they learn. And now we're creating a treatment plan so that we can build communication skills, we can build that social development, we can build their ability to take the environment and use it in a way that's going to help them achieve their goals. So that's kind of the framework, but then you also have these other services which need to be embedded. So if I have a child who has speech delays, I should be talking to their speech pathologist and making sure that that's in their daily treatment.
This is all coordinated through ABS?
Yeah, so that we coordinate all these services.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, I can't imagine how a parent would feel knowing that this was available. I got to ask the obvious question, though. I mean, and it's costly for any kind of treatment. Mm-hmm. How does that work for folks who might be watching today?
Yeah, so most of the services are covered through insurance, whether that's publicly or privately funded. And what ends up happening is that if you do have private insurance, you'll probably have your copays, you'll have your deductibles, which are, we all know Sure. what those are on a regular basis. And then also you have Medicaid-based services, which are offered to your child. Those will all pay for the services. What the big picture is that by investing into developing all these new skills, all these new behaviors, the way to be able to integrate into different environments, the long-term cost for treatment is so much lower if you provide that care early. than if you don't. And then your child ends up having potentially more medical problems or institutionalization for some of those children that maybe just their behaviors for self-aggression or being able to control some of that frustration tolerance where, maybe they are aggressing towards others, where you can escape that path and you can help the child to be a part of the community that they want to be a part of and that the family wants them to be a part of, which reduce costs over time as well.
So the end game ultimately is to take this child, and sometimes these children, it takes a while for them to learn.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of cases, people write them off altogether.
Yeah.
But your team will have a goal for this individual, and I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, and I know we're getting short in this segment, but maybe we can come back and talk about this, is just some of the successes you've personally seen, and we'll talk a little bit more about something that I know a lot of people would love to grab hold of and make a difference in their kids' life. So stick around, because we got more, and it's coming up. Welcome back. Jeff is still here with us, and we appreciate that, man. Thanks for hanging with us today. I think this is such a big story, and for a lot of folks, I think this program will provide a lot of hope. And I just want to ask you, because we've been talking about kids and the differences between them, but as you set goals for these kids, I mean, is there a goal too big? I mean, when you initially make your diagnosis and move forward?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
It is.
So is there a goal too big? I'd probably say no, because as you look at these goals, is that they're going to be changing over time. My goals for my neurotypical children are changing over time. So what you're going to end up seeing with any sort of treatment is that it's going to start out relatively intensive because you're trying to really understand and be able to empower the child to learn independently, to be able to follow their own passions, to be able to develop all those skills. As you're going through that process, is that your goals are going to change, as will the priorities. So I might have one child where I'm saying, hey, you know what, we're about to, 5 years old, we're about to enter into school. This child is going to do well in school. We need to make sure that we get the right IEP so that they have the social benefits, but academically they can excel.
IEPs for the folks, that's something that is a plan for that individual in school, isn't that correct?
It's their education plan. So
Yes.
That's how the school tries to figure out how to make sure they can access the curriculum.
Right.
So you might have a child that's on those lines. I might have somebody else where, I haven't been able to establish independence by the age of 5 or 6. I might say, it might be better that we work a little bit more on functional living so that they can take care of their basic needs right now. And let's try and figure out some different communication strategies so that they can make sure that they have a way to be able to communicate to families, to communicate to teachers, community members, to get a basic need met, rather than behaviors, rather than having to feel like they need to go and grab something, or that they need to, when I can't communicate, I get frustrated. So be frustrated, or sometimes aggress, to be able to make sure, hey, you don't hear me. So we need to help them to be able to communicate the right way. But for each of these kids, it's like we're looking at an initial treatment plan. Over time, we should be reducing the intensity of that, narrowing it down over time to be able to make sure we're prioritizing the right goals, and then embedding those goals into every aspect of their community so that the community can help support their goals, and it's not just clinically driven.
When you talk about changes in a child evolving, is that something ABS monitors closely? In the education system, it may be every semester that it's looked at.
We take data on every little thing, not just to know, hey, are we achieving those goals, but also to look at what it is that we can modify to be able to help that child learn quicker. Or how can we change our techniques to be able to work with the child's strengths and understand how they're processing the world so that we can continue to build on things that are inherent to them, and that we're not trying to change the child, but trying to use what they already have to develop more and more abilities, more and more skills to be independent.
Well, and a parent oftentimes doesn't have that kind of a background to make that kind of a decision. Your organization, ABS, develops a plan that then can be incorporated in the IEP, which is something parents who have autistic kids know a lot about, or guide the school to do it in the appropriate way. I think that's a very big deal. You will do that for the parents.
Yeah, so we'll work. I mean, our entire goal is to work ourselves out of jobs with each individual child. So if we are succeeding, we've reduced the level of care and that we've been able to help them access environments that need less support. If they can enter into a classroom of 28, 30 kids and be successful, that is a huge win. If they get to the point where they're able to go out and join a school activity and not need additional supports ever, that is the ultimate goal, is that they're living their lives how they want to.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the success stories. I know you've seen some experience to some of these.
So I've had an 8-year-old come in with severe aggression, in and out of the hospital. The family felt scared to leave their home because they never knew what was going to happen for their daughter. Our goal for this 8-year-old, starting service so late, but the family was doing all they could to be able to start care. They just didn't have the access to a community. Our goal was to reduce the behaviors so that the child had a chance to be able to stay out of the hospital, remain with the family, and then also being able to enjoy the parts of their lives that make them feel complete. So we went from severe aggression where the child had almost brain trauma, so the swelling of the brain. They had bruises on their own face from self-injury.
Wow.
We were able to reduce that so that the child was able to be in the home environment. The family could go to the grocery store with their child, which might not sound like a big win for everybody. That is a huge win for that family. And then you have some of the children that maybe come in with no language and maybe didn't have a friend at the age of 3. The family couldn't even figure out, my child's only interested in the things around them. They've never been interested in the people. A win for that family and the success that we might see is the child starts to communicate, whether that is verbally or whether that is with some form of picture communication. They start to communicate with their peers. Having that communication allows them to have a common way to be able to access the things that are interesting to them. So instead of them being interested in their one doll, now they can communicate and bring the other people into their world. The range of success changes, and it's so unique to who that individual is and where you're starting from. And that goal, that priority needs to be always looked at, evaluated through assessment, evaluated with conversation with the community and everybody involved in that child's care. We also have community resources that way. So we are very committed to giving back to the communities that we're involved in. So whether it's a sensory-friendly event, whether it is a awareness or education night, we have those listed on our site as well. But by going there, that's a starting point. They can figure out who can I talk to and then reach out, see the number on there, talk with our intake team, get in touch with our psychologists so that you can start the path to better understanding your child and also on being able to help empower them so that throughout life they can make their own choices. Whether that's a huge choice or a small choice, they can make those choices independently.
Well, Jeff, you mentioned some events. What can people expect at such an event?
Well, so we just passed through the winter holidays.
Yes.
So we had a sensory-friendly Santa Claus where, oftentimes families aren't going to want to go to the hustle and bustle where there's so much input going on for their child that it's an overwhelming experience to go visit Santa at the mall or wherever else Santa might be coming. We decided that, let's create a safe environment. Let's schedule it out for one-on-one opportunities. Let's keep it so that there isn't so much going on so the child can have that experience. We also work with the local museums and create an opportunity for sensory-friendly events so that maybe in those events the sound is minimized or the lights are done in a way where the child isn't getting overwhelmed or feeling at odds just because of the way that they're processing some of the energy there. Or that families can say, you know what, it's okay. There's 50, 100 other families here experiencing what I am. It's okay for my child to be who they are. I don't need to worry about how the rest of the community or anybody else that's experiencing that same event with me is going to respond to my child, and they can feel a little bit more free and let their guard down.
I'm excited about what you're doing, and thank you for being with us today.
No, I appreciate it, Bill, and it is such a strong community out there, and I do want to make sure the families know is that their struggles, I think we all empathize with them, but we also can be a part of their successes. So this, I think, awareness is a step towards that.
Awesome. Well, you know how to get a hold of Jeff. And thank you for watching. We hope you've enjoyed today's show. If you have any questions or would like to know more, visit our websites at RaleighCW.com and myrdctv.com. I'm Bill LuMaye, and thank you for watching Community Matters, and we'll see you next week.